Mr. President, thank you for having us in your home. I think the main thing I take away from you is work ethic, something we preach, and nobody works harder for America than you. So thank you for setting a good example.
And good morning, everybody, on a special edition of Tigers Roar. Why? Because you just saw something that's unprecedented. One of the national championship teams for LSU having the opportunity to go to Washington and meet with the White House. Of course, that happened this week earlier on Monday. Then they went to the governor's mansion to have dinner over there. Last night, we are talking to you on a Wednesday, October the 22nd. And, of course, I have the sunglasses on. Listen, I didn't want to tell you last week, but I had a bad feeling about LSU Vandy, and we'll give you updated on the injuries. We'll give you the magnitude of this game. And once again, it is not a pretty sight. The fans are probably more upset, disappointed, and non-believing than at ever of BK's tenure here. This is year 4, and LSU continuing to make the same mistakes. Played a little better. We were worried about the 11 a.m. start, but they got through the opening quarter okay. But once again, the problems, JP, of course, Jonathan Poche getting ready to talk with you on this hump day here in the capital city. JP, I think the biggest frustration LSU fans have, and I get it all the time from people, they're not getting any better. The play calling is not getting any better. The players, how many times do you have to stress to the defensive players, watch that outside shoulder? They continue to let Diego Pavia run outside, and this includes Harold Perkins and many others. Defensive scheme was not great. Offensive scheme, once you get into the 5, inside the 10 of the 5 has been horrific. Tigers lose a tough one, 31-24, drop all the way to 19, and now JP hosts the number 3 team in the country. We don't know if A&M's really that good, but good to see you as always. I am a little spicy this morning, got a lot of stuff going on. Kidney stones aren't doing great the last couple of days, so I'm going to be a little bit more spicy. But this is it, folks. This is your last opportunity to will LSU to win. 6:49 is the actual kickoff. There could be bad weather, and A&M, number 3 in the country, undefeated at this point. JP, the only undefeated team left in the SEC. Good to see you as always, and let's dive right into it. But great opening with Jay Johnson and President Trump and the Tiger baseball team getting honored in Washington earlier in the week.
Yeah, of course it is football season, but that was a very special honor for Coach Jay Johnson. Of course, he does such a great job representing not only LSU, but the state of Louisiana. A lot of Louisiana flair in the room. Obviously, you have Mike Johnson, Steve Scalise. The list of politicians goes on and on, but the real stars were those student athletes. They were honored. Coach Donald Trump, obviously, a great speaker, entertaining, but to hear him talk about the Tigers and the accomplishments they had last year, I thought it was truly special. I've never really watched a whole go to the White House as a team thing before, Bud, man, but I thought this one was really cool. What a great group of young men, both from LSU and LSUS, representing Louisiana on the biggest stage for college baseball. 2 great coaches did a great job representing everything that America is supposed to stand for. Hard work, teamwork, accomplishing goals together, and being accountable. And I thought it was a great job, great experience. Getting back to the football, we talked about it last week. Diego Pavia was going to be the engine that drove the car for Vanderbilt. Of course, Whitweeks not being in the game truly, I felt, hurt the Tigers not only in the X's and O's, but the fire he brings, the energy he brings. LSU just a little bit flat on defense. I think if you asked them, they gave up a little bit more than they wanted to. Scheme-wise, I thought Blake Baker I like Blake Baker. I'm a fan of Blake Baker. I think he does a good job for LSU, but this was one of his worst games as a Tiger defensive coordinator. On both of the Diego Pavia long scrambles for touchdowns and the run that he made down to the 1-yard line. Hal Perkins lined up in the slot. It was a very, very smart, scheme-savvy by Vanderbilt. Get their best player outside of the pocket. And once Diego Pavia broke through that front line, there was nobody to stop him. Of course, you got to give this kid his credit. A great 86 yards on the ground, over 120 through the air. Time of possession, they absolutely dominated. LSU only had 49 plays on offense. Like you mentioned, I thought they started off pretty good. We were worried about the early start, but went down the field, first drive, got some points with a field goal. Of course, those red zone woes continue, Bud, man. And in my opinion, that has to be fixed first if this team has any chance moving forward. You got to be able to score touchdowns in the red zone, especially inside the 5-yard line. Can't have the pre-snap penalties. It's just the little details. You mentioned staying on the outside upfield shoulder when you're blitzing from the cornerback, not having the naked bootleg absolutely destroy you when you're blitzing from the corner. Offensively, you saw Garrett Nussmeier get really upset at the end of that game. And post-game interview, he was very down in the dumps, kind of talking under his voice. This team has only 2 losses. And obviously, if LSU would run the table, which is a huge ask, they'd be 10-2. With this SEC, with this year, there's a lot of parity. All the goals are still go 1-0 each week, but it is a tough task, Bud, man. Mike Elko, Marcel Reed coming into LSU. They haven't won at Tiger Stadium yet since coming to the SEC. They have something to prove. Marcel Reed right now is playing like the opposite of Garrett Nussmeier. Kid has all the confidence in the world in his ability to hurt you with his feet, to hurt you with his arm. He came into the game last year versus LSU. They very much struggled against the running quarterback. They did a good job against Lenore Sellers. They struggled mightily against Diego Pavia. So 3 weeks in a row. Hopefully you get Bernard Gooden with weeks back because they did provide a lot of juice in that middle. But if it's me, Bud, man, I'm thinking Brian Kelly's hoping for rain on Saturday because they're going to have a fist fight game, something very physical, low scoring, let the defense carry you if they want any shot to beat Texas A&M.
Excellent stuff. Let's add in the fact that Tommy Moffitt is coming back. Tommy Moffitt probably was the first coach that Brian Kelly fired. He's a strength and conditioning coach. Look, no disrespect to Coach Moffitt. I do think he got a little stale in Baton Rouge, but he is fired up. And, folks, look, you hear the chatter on all your social media sites. It doesn't matter where you go. People are fed up with this result, fed up with the game planning, fed up with the execution, and fed up with the fact that this program has slid. Now, we all know that there was an overreaction by the national media, putting LSU up in the top 5, invariably after a couple wins after beating Clemson. But you made me chuckle and made me have a little bit of a lighter moment here when you talk about running the table. I just don't see it, folks. I'll give you the back end of it. You could be headed to 7-5. Not trying to be a negative Nelly, but Texas A&M's number 3 in the country. LSU's 19. Hadn't beaten LSU here since 1994, I think. And bottom line is that this is a good team. And you talked about Blake Baker. Let's dissect it. I don't know if he still has shown that he has got the answer on a triple option defense with making sure the quarterback does not beat you. However, they did blitz some guys, JP, and they're continuing to make the same mistakes, whether they go too far, whether they go too let him go outside of you with the outside shoulder and not wrapping up. And by the way, I have bad news to tell you. JP just talked about Bernard Gooden and Whit Weeks on the teleconference this morning. Brian Kelly did say Bernard Gooden practiced yesterday, feeling pretty good. They like where he's at. Whit Weeks still not able to put pressure on that bone bruise. It looks like he's probably going to miss this game. And look, I'm not going to say that Landry Kiffin has given Whit Weeks the curse, but I tell you, this has been a rough go for him. He's not had a good year, and I don't know if me and you talked about this or somebody else, but it's starting to look like Whit Weeks might have to come back next year. I don't know where his draft status is going to be. By the way, this is not just the old injury he had at the end of this year. This is a new bone bruise on the ankle. So they're going to have to do a better job. But Marcel Reed, look, he's not a great high-percentage passer, but we know quarterbacks hurt LSU with the run, and we'll see. From an offensive standpoint, having 49 plays, and for the life of me, folks, nobody's trying to throw hatchets and have people fired, but certainly Joe Sloan has left many reasons to be very critical of his play calling. JP's just not calling the right play. I'll give you a perfect example. Vanderbilt, and the one faux pas that Clark Lee had in this game, actually had a 4th and 1 in their side of the ball right before halftime, a couple minutes before the halftime. He goes for it. LSU gets the stop. They take over at the 36-yard line, and it was like they didn't have anything ready to call.
Right.
They had 3 pathetic play calls and then ended up kicking a field goal.
Yep.
Typical.
Yep.
The other problem, at the end of the game, they needed 1 score to tie the game, and then you have to go with the decision, do you go into overtime, which you probably would, or would you go and try to win it on a 2-point play? Well, that was all fool's gold because, once again, had another 3 and out and punted the football, and, of course, Vandy ended up running out the clock. And so, look, this is a combination pizza, folks. There's enough pepperoni and all the other toppings that you want on your best pizza. There's enough for everybody to have a little bit of the blame, but people aren't happy. This is year 4 of BK. He's making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Billy Napier got fired. Mike Norvell of Florida State probably going to get fired. Other coaches gotten fired. LSU fans are upset because they don't see the progress that they think they should be seeing, and I think it's hard to disagree with that when you see some of this play calling and strategy, but the players have still got to make the plays.
Yeah, and I'll give you another example, Bud, man. Garrett Nussmeier, we're down inside the 5. He's trying to hurry up the offense, but for some reason, the powers that be decide this is a good time to change personnel. They're running guys off, running guys on, all while Garrett Nussmeier is hurrying the offensive line to the line. LSU winds up with 10 people on the field. Have to use a timeout. Give Vanderbilt a chance to adjust. It's not good on any front really right now, play calling wise. And from the expectations of this offense, all the wide receivers, the running backs, Caden Durham, there was question mark at the offensive line, but Brian Kelly assured the media that they would all fix itself. They would gel by the second game. Unfortunately, now we have an injury, and now DJ Chester slides out to the left tackle. And it's just like they have not gelled, Bud, man. I thought Brian Kelly, truly, you'll hear from him later on this program, I thought he threw that offensive line directly under the bus on Monday. Somebody asked him about the offensive line. He said, look, that's who we have. If we had another group, we'd absolutely play him. I don't think he meant it to come out that way, Bud, man. I think he meant to be a competition. We'd let the best guys play. There's not a better 5, I don't think, in the locker room. If they were, I think they'd be on the field. But the head coach shouldn't be talking that way about the guys that have to play. They're going to have to start. They're going to have to protect Garrett Nussmeier. Texas A&M has a guy who's leading the SEC in sacks.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to absolutely chip with the running backs. I thought Harlan Berry, with his most carries, most action in the game, I thought he did a fantastic job in pass pro, being physical, bringing the boom to the defensive lineman, not waiting for the hit, going to a seek pressure or seek contact. Harlan Berry's been trending upwards for sure, and I think Caden Durham is trending downwards, Bud, man. LSU run game, I thought, did look better against Vanderbilt, and it needs to continue to trend that way because these playmakers on the outside, thank goodness Aaron Anderson is coming back because it's just been so inconsistent out of these guys. I think LSU leads the SEC in drops, Bud, man, with 18 now after this past game, which that's a lot being halfway through the year. So, yeah, a lot to correct. LSU obviously has the talent, but a huge opportunity with Texas A&M, the number 3 team in the nation, coming to your home this weekend.
Perfect case in point, what you were talking about, JP, is Harlan Berry got a little bit of confidence, got a little bit of success, and here it is, after Caden Durham is sat for a whole quarter, they get the football on the 36, trying to go in and score a touchdown before halftime, and they put Caden Durham in instead of a Harlan Berry who had just been having success. So, Frank, you're under the firing squad as always. He's never been great with rotation at the running backs. Look, LSU continues to get caught on the 1-yard line by these running backs in these long plays. It happened again with Caden Durham. And the problem is that they don't have a play sheet. And look, Joe Brady in 19, along with Coach Insminger. Joe Brady was the pro once you got inside the 20. I think BK needs to give Joe Sloan some help. I think we've seen now Joe Sloan does not know what to call when you get inside the 10 and when you get inside the 5. Back of what you just said, I'm going to disagree with something that BK said. He says if they're better players, we'd be playing them. Carius Kern came in the game at right tackle a couple weeks ago against Ole Miss and played appreciably better than Weston Davis. He hadn't seen the field since then. Now, everybody says, well, he doesn't know all the plays. All I can tell you is that he's a physical guy, and that's some of the things that you have. You made the great point that BK talked about the offensive line 3 or 4 weeks ago. Said, I know about offensive line. I know this O-line is going to be. Now you got DJ Chester, who's going to be at left tackle. Cassius Howe is their stack leader. 9 TFLs, 8 sacks. They're going to have to give him help. Nussmeier is going to be thrown under duress. Nuss very upset. Is he back, though? I still don't see Nussmeier playing. Something is missing on that offense, and it's just the whole makeup. Folks, they haven't gotten better since the second half of Clemson. I know you blew out Southeastern offensively, but come on, they struggled against Louisiana Tech. They beat Florida and Carolina, 2 SEC teams. You're happy to have those victories, but struggled to score 20 and should have had many more points. But, JP, this coaching staff and this players, they have not performed at a high IQ level. And so now it's up to you fans. Are you going to give them one more chance? Weather's going to be bad. Number 3 coming in the country. JP, you lose this game, you go to 5-3. You have 2 weeks for the fans to stew like they did after the Ole Miss loss, and then you got to go play at Alabama. So now you're looking at 5-4 if you lose these next 2 games. And then, of course, you beat the Cupcake Western Kentucky. Arkansas's got a lot of offense. They're not going to be a cupcake win. And then Oklahoma, depending on what John Mateer's health is like at the end of the year, but they've got a great defense. And so, look, this DA right here, looking at you with the sunglasses and the Titleist blue hat, I picked 10-2. That's not why I'm spicy. Why I'm spicy is that LSU fans aren't getting their money's worth, and now they've got to go in with a fresh start and say, we're going to support the team, we're going to make it tough, but I just don't sense it with the fan base. I've never said this before, but at this point, all the people I've talked to, JP, there's a good 70% of the people right now that want to wash their hands of BK.
Yep.
I'm not talking 50%.
Right.
7 out of 10 right now. Mad as hell and want something done. And, of course, LSU's not in a monetary situation to be able to pull the plug.
Yeah, you mentioned the contract, but, man, I hate 10-year contracts. No coach that hasn't won a national championship. No offense to Brian Kelly. I mean, the guy's the most winningest coach in college football. The LSU fans just – I think had a poor taste in his mouth even before he got here. You saw him with the red face at Notre Dame. Of course, there was that horrific accident of that kid dying at practice. Just a lot of national negativity towards Brian Kelly before he got here. Then it was the run with the fake accent. He's dancing on social media. He's trying to be something he's not, trying to fit into the culture. He tries to tell jokes that don't land all the ways. At times, he's not the most likable guy. But he proved that he was a winning coach, and I believe he is a top 10 college football coach today. I think he does a good job. Sadly, though, like you said, this team is not improving. The offensive line has not improved, whether it's Coach Brian Kelly or Coach Brad Davis or the recruiting or the players they're getting or the development. There's probably a lot of different forks in that fire, but this team needs to show something these last 5 games. The last couple of years, Brian Kelly has been competing for his 10th win during that bowl game. At this point in the season, you have to be hoping that's the case for an LSU fan this year. You have to hope that there's a chance to get to 10 games. That's the standard. Obviously, in my opinion, the New Year's Six bowls are out the window. This team offensively just isn't good enough. They don't produce enough score. I mean, you watched the Texas A&M versus Arkansas, 48 points to the losing team. I don't think LSU's putting up 48, but man, against an SEC team. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of things can be fixed. Unfortunately, LSU invested a whole lot of money into this guy that they thought was going to be very successful early. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case, as you mentioned, year 4. But the last 3 guys here, Ed Ogeron, Les Miles, and Nick Saban, well documented. They all were able to win a national championship with this steady bloodline of recruiting, this level of investment from the fans and the boosters in the university. Success is not an option. It is the standard. And right now, BK just hasn't lived up to it, but man. So you have to feel for the LSU fans. And in the press conference, one more thing about BK, and I don't want to keep harping on him. He opens it up, by saying, I want to say this first, that we appreciate that our side of the field was completely full with LSU fans, so that those are the little things that's important. How is the fans traveling to Vanderbilt, to Nashville, a little thing? The fans are the things. The fans are are the audience. They are the consumer. That's who's giving you the money. That's who's providing the boosters with their money. The fans are the big things, BK. The little things are like not jumping off sides. Those are little details. Not going too shallow on a corner blitz is the little details. The performance by the team to fulfill the fans' expectations after they invest all this time and money, that's not the little thing, BK. That's a big thing.
And the team's not having fun. They've been hard to watch. But what JP said, if they run the table and win the next 5 games, they're 10-2. Now, look, if we're not going to get into any more personal attacks, but look, Coach Kelly is unlikable at this point. People still say he's a fit in Baton Rouge at LSU. Like, buddy, you're a fit as a Chippendale dancer. And I think I'm a little too short for that, along with other things. Make it a little fun here. But if you're a Tiger fan and you care about the football program, then show up and cheer. A&M, as we said, has won some close games, but they are so much better at the line of scrimmage than LSU, their offensive and defensive lines. And Tommy Moffitt, the strength and conditioning coach, is probably doing a better job than Jake Flint. He's another guy that's going to get looked at the end of the year. Could be rumors about Joe Sloan, Brad Davis, whoever. There will be some blood on the hands if this thing goes south and ends up 8-4 or 7-5. But hang in there, Tiger fans. And, oh, by the way, don't forget, we're brought to you by many sponsors, but Man Defined Meats, the official smoked sausage of LSU Athletics. Grill up that spicy sausage this weekend, because if the Tigers lose, you're going to feel spicy all through the next couple of weeks. Open date after this, and then playing at Alabama on national TV in prime time. It's a bad setup, and for year 4, LSU fans are just not happy with the direction the program is headed. Quick timeout. We come back. Let you hear from BK and talk more about the SEC. And as always, appreciate all of you tuning in right here on our radio show, Tiger. Of course, Pelican Sports Radio. I'll be on the air 1 to 3. You can check us out if you go to the Pelican Broadcasting app. You can always go to radio and TV right here. We have a variety of shows right here on Pelican Sports TV, right here, Tigers Roar, on a Wednesday afternoon on Pelican Sports TV. Back after this with the man, BK.
Designed to take you where you want to go, when you want to go. Get 1.9% financing for 60 months on a new Mazda CX-50. Named an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus Award winner. Choose from over 40 CX-50s right now and save at Team Mazda on Airline.
When I started this practice over 35 years ago, I had one goal: to treat every patient like family. And over the years, I've watched kids grow up in this office, come back as parents, and now I'm seeing their kids in the same chair. That kind of trust, it's not something we take for granted. This isn't just where we do dentistry, it's where we make people feel at home. Frugier Family Dentistry, where you treat it like family. Call or visit FrugierFamilyDentistry.com to schedule.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
And we welcome you back on this Wednesday afternoon. Oh, by the way, of course, you know that baseball is loaded. You saw Jay Johnson and the team going first to the White House and then to the governor's mansion the last couple of days and nights. Kim Mulkey and the Lady Tigers, JP, going to be very good. Matt McMahon, a lot of questions with basketball, with men, and, of course, LSU football, as well as the Saints. It has been a tough year. I had a buddy of mine, along with my sister Juju. She's coming over with a little bit of cataract surgery, so we wish her the best in recovery there. But how many games have you enjoyed watching this year on Saturday and Sundays? The Tigers have stunk for the most part, albeit they've got some ugly wins, and now this could get really ugly. And the Saints take one step forward and then two step backwards. And, of course, they're not set up to have a great season. How many games the Saints going to get as far as dubs this year?
I think before the season we had the ceiling being 5. I think it's way less than that. I think the ceiling is now 3. Yeah, I think the ceiling is now 3, Bud, man. And that's competing. The Saints roster is not very good. Kellen Moore has done some positive things. So the Saints had a good second half against Dennis Allen and those Chicago Bears. Of course, the first half was pretty much trash except for that last drive right before the break. The Saints got on the board. But I believe it was Saints had 4 total yards when the score was 13-0. Defense played okay, but they were on the field way too much for the Saints. And to answer your question, Bud, man, it has been a struggle these past few weekends. Good thing. I've been having to coach youth football. Of course, I'm wearing my Gerard shirt because my Vikings absolutely got it done this past weekend. 9-10 All-Star East Bank champs. We'll have a little bit of clip. Jackson, my son, had 2 pick sixes in the championship.
What? 2 pick sixes?
2. Had 2 of them. So we won by mercy rule, 33-0 in the final game. Truly wish we had more games with that group of kids. Great group, but I'll get more to that later. To answer your question, the hardest part has been once the LSU Tigers lose, there's no hope. You don't expect the Saints to make you feel better on Sunday. You go into that game waiting to get let down. If you get surprised and they compete, that's a good thing. But yeah, it's been hard, man. I think the Florida game was enjoyable, but that's about it. Truly, I thought that Clemson game should have been a lot more one-sided than it was. But at least it was competitive. They took the touchdown off for Barry and Brown, so that game was closer on the scoreboard than I believe it should have been. But yeah, very tough to be a South Louisiana football fan if you're supporting the black and gold and the purple and gold. But, hey, Coach Terrence Graves also gets let go of Southern. It's just been a tough year, Bud, man, for football. But, hey, we're already halfway past past the halfway point, I should say. So enjoy it while it's here because it's going to be gone in a blink.
Of course, everybody knows that on the late game, I say 6:49, that was a big change from the 11 o'clock. I was really worried, JP, about the start. But once again, the big question this weekend, are you going to have more than 50 plays on offense? So many 3-and-outs. This gets back to play calling and execution. And, of course, we know that when you start talking about here we go. We got some highlights right out of the gate. And what a play right here, JP. Great to get it off. And then Xavier Thomas, the best play that he's made as an LSU Tiger.
And he does his very special thing, Bud, man. Xavier Thomas breaks a bunch of tackles, 62 yards. That was a long for him. Fantastic with the ball in his hands. We'll get a look at the replay right here. A duck out of Nussmeier's hands, but finds the right receiver, breaks 2 tackles right here, and he's just off to the race. Great effort by Bauer Sharp to get down there, and also Chris Hilton had a big block downfield. Lots of effort right here. See number 3 running through. So this was a touchdown. Here's the other one in the game. Here's a nice play by Trades Green. Again, Gary Nussmeier retreating, throwing off the back foot. It was a duck, but somehow found the wide receiver. And here is Trades Green, who's really been a focal point, Bud, man, for this LSU offense these last few weeks.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They tried to make Trades Green a blocker earlier in the year and made him, of course, got him hurt. And look, he's a big receiver. You shouldn't worry about blocking. Bauer Sharp been real disappointment with his blocking. And, of course, here we go. An excellent little slant, a delayed slant, and I'm glad to have this play. This was one of the new plays they added.
Yep.
But, JP, they've just got to do a better job of getting their skill people in space.
Yeah, I completely agree, Bud, man. And truly, there's no lack of playmakers on the outside for LSU. So you would think that don't even have my mic up, but man, there it is. Still working out the kinks, but yeah. Garrett Nussmeier, got to have more time. Backpedaling, throwing off the back foot. Fortunately, they weren't turnovers this time, but that is how you throw turnovers. Into rest, throwing off the back foot. LSU able to get 2 nice plays by touchdowns, but got to score more points. Had to execute better. Starts up front. This offensive line leaves something to be desired. You can put it lightly. And it's not going to get any easier. This Texas A&M defense is going to get after the quarterback. So you need to buckle it in. You need to have your protections locked in, your calls pre-snap. Braylon Moore's going to have to do an excellent job getting everybody, those front 5 on the same page. And the ball's got to come out quick. Hopefully one more week removed from that injury for Garrett Nussmeier puts a little more zip on that ball, gives us more confidence. We have to see the Garrett Nussmeier of old, the gunslinger, the kid that, will throw a couple interceptions, is going to have a 300-yard game. Like, you'll take the ebb and flow, the give and take. You got to play to your strength. This kid was cutting it loose last year, throwing it all over the field, had over 4,000 yards. Very talented wide receiver core. Aaron Anderson's coming back, so this is a very good opportunity for LSU to prove that this isn't the team that they have on paper, that they're better than they've been on the score block. So huge opportunity. Hoping Coach BK fires his team up. Garrett Nussmeier plays with a lot of swag, and that defense is able to carry the team because that's what's going to be needed to compete against the number 3 team in the nation.
Look, A&M always has the chance, has a way and finds a way to lose some games at the end, but this is the highest I've seen them ranked in a long time. They're number 3 in the country. Alabama's number 4. Oklahoma's 13. By the time LSU played Oklahoma, they could be 10. So you have 3 top 10 teams probably coming in here, and you've got to win all of those if you're going to get in the playoffs. Some people think there's a possibility an SEC team that goes 9-3 possibly could get in. Let's see if they can get it done against A&M. Here's the coach, Brian Kelly, meeting with the media out at LSU on Monday.
Really appreciated the support that we got on the road. I mean, if we got into the stadium and our entire side was LSU Tigers, and that's appreciated. Like, when you go into a visiting team, their field, and you're well represented like that. Now, I wish we could have sent them home happy with a victory, certainly, but those little things mean a lot, and especially as our team is battling. Certainly disappointed in the way things went in the loss on Saturday. There's a lot of things you can point out in the game, but it really boils down to kind of what I talked about after the game. It really hasn't changed much after I've watched the film. We had 49 offensive plays, and we needed to be better in scoring zones. We settled for field goals, they got touchdowns. And that ultimately was the difference, other than the fact that, defensively, we needed to get off the field in certain situations. And, that's why the plays were, 49 to 67, 68. You almost had a 20-play differential between the two. But if you really want to take the big picture, I was pleased with a lot of things, but it's the outcomes. Our fan base wants positive outcomes, and I get that. There's nothing that brings a community together better than an LSU victory. And so we clearly understand that. I understand that. Our players, I'm proud of their resolve. I'm proud of going on the road against whether we like it or not, Indiana's number 2 in the country. Whether we like it or not, Vanderbilt's number 10 in the country. These are teams that have earned their rankings, and they're good football teams. They played exceedingly well. I give credit to Vanderbilt. They took care of the football. They have an outstanding quarterback who, on 3 occasions where we hit the call right on some nakeds, he made things happen. And so you got to give credit where credit's due in this situation as well. We're disappointed with the loss, don't get me wrong, and we want to do better for our fan base. We get that. But having said that, there were a lot of things that we can take away from the game that we need to build on. And that's where we are right now, is that we have a great opportunity this weekend in Tiger Stadium, to play the number 3 team in the country. That's exciting. And we believe the way we're moving, if we continue to get better on both sides of the ball, we're prepared to win the game. We believe we can win the game. So, you know, I hope our fan base understands that we're disappointed. We are committed to working to getting better every single day. And we're excited about a great matchup this weekend in Tiger Stadium. Certainly, A&M, outstanding football team. You know, when you look at them, you know, they're defensively, you know, they've got some outstanding players. You know, the linebacker York is outstanding. I loved them last year, 21. He's all over the field, instinctive. Howell leads the SEC in sacks. He's somebody that you have to know where he is all the time and appropriately plan for him. You know, offensively, Marcel Reed is doing an incredible job at the quarterback position, taking that over. They've got outstanding backs in Owens and Moss, and very deep and talented with Craver and Concepcion. Outstanding receivers that can do a lot of things with the ball as well. So, very talented team. I think it would be one of the better offensive lines, if not the best offensive line we're going to see this year. But I think overall, you know, our team is excited about this opportunity, and we're going to play well, and we're going to need to beat the number 3 team in the country. So with that, we'll open up to questions.
Coach, you talked about just the lack of execution in those goal line situations. Do you feel like after going back and watching the film, this is an execution thing, or is it more of a mentality/attitude when you get inside the 5-yard line?
Well, which one do you want me to bring up? I can bring up the one where we have a false start penalty, you know, or we have a wide open touchdown. You know, we've seen that happen so many times in this game. Unfortunately, it was a timely error in that situation, you know, that caused us, or cost us, you know, 4 points in that situation, right? I think in each one of them was a little bit different. I think if we had to impact, you know, another third down situation where it was all-out blitz, that, you know, we could have certainly tapped down the routes and gotten the ball out a little bit quicker. But there's no major issues as much as at that time, at that crucial time with 49 plays, they're magnified if there's any errors at all, And that's what this game came down to. And I mentioned it many times. It's like playing a triple option team. You don't get many possessions. We had 5 possessions going into the fourth quarter. And so when you have limited possessions, those errors are magnified by 10.
Coach, I've heard some former players and others say there's a lack of physicality on this football team, in particular on the offensive side of the ball. Are you seeing that?
Well, I think we need to be more physical. I think there's always the need for physicality, right? How you play this game really is about who you are. You know, football is a game of violent collisions, and certainly from an offensive line standpoint, you know, everybody's going to look towards the physicality there on the offensive line. Those are the best 5 guys we got out there. If we had, you know, another group, we'd certainly play them as well. So, listen, everybody, you know, is going to look at this and has their opinions, and I respect everybody's opinion. But there's no doubt that anytime you evaluate your football team, the first thing you're going to look for is physicality.
Coach, you mentioned Indiana being number 2, Vanderbilt being number 10. Does that really go to show how much NIL in the portal really opens up opportunities for schools that usually aren't in those positions to get into those positions?
Well, Texas Tech, right? I mean, they had a tough loss, but they were a top 10 team as well. Look, I don't think that I'm saying anything that's different than what's being talked about throughout the country. Look, it's a competitive scenario each and every week. Look at the SEC last week. Were there any blowouts? I mean, I don't know that there were. I mean, Texas and Kentucky went to overtime. You know, Arkansas put up over 40 points. Georgia, Ole Miss was a track meet. You know, Auburn, I think, goes to overtime as well. I mean, it's a tough league. It's competitive each and every week. There's no layups. And so why is that? Well, there's an investment, and that investment piece is revenue sharing. And so you can build your roster through that. It's not just about, well, I want to go where the team always wins, or that's got a great tradition. Teams that are building their tradition are building it with, certainly the ability to help their student athletes as well. So that's part of it, but, still player development's important. Getting better each and every week and having the best version of your football team is important as well. I wouldn't stand up here and say, hey, all these teams are good because they got money. That's disingenuous, right? But it does play into it. There's no doubt about it, and I think we see that within the SEC.
Coach, from a self-evaluation standpoint, what do you think the one thing or the first thing is that needs to be addressed or fixed to kind of get this thing turned around and win on Saturday and also moving forward?
Well, I think we've been doing it. I mean, look, we want positive outcomes just like our fan base wants, right? But our last 9 quarters of offense have been trending to where we need to be, right? We're running the football with effectiveness. We're targeting the receivers that need to. We got to get Aaron Anderson probably involved a little bit more now that he's healthy. He's a big play guy. And then defensively, we need to continue to play like we had played in the first half. And if we do that, we get both sides of the ball playing complementary football. I think I've said it more than once, that we haven't played that complementary football where both sides are hitting on all cylinders. We just haven't hit that point yet. So we'll continue to prepare our football team, work on the things that can help us get to that level. And it's an ongoing process that, when every day is a self-evaluation of what I'm doing, what our players are doing, what our coaches are doing, and we're taking all those hours to make sure we do that.
Can you confirm multiple reports that Tyree Adams will be out for this week, and if so, what do you do at left tackle?
Yeah, he'll be out this week. DJ Chester will be over there. He's our most experienced guy. We'll give Kyrus Kern some reps out there as well and see how that goes during the week.
Coach, I know y'all track everything. When y'all come out of timeout, do you know what your success rate is on that next play?
No, we don't track that. Okay. If you have it, I'll take the numbers.
It seems like it's not very good.
Okay. I don't have that analytic, and it's something that I'm sure that if I ask our guys to dig deep, I can get you the answer.
Coach, right here.
Yeah.
While we're on the injuries, Whit Weeks, Bernard Gooden, Jamari Butler, how are they doing, and what do you think their status is?
I think when we present our report, I think you'll get a clearer look at that, and I think that goes out tomorrow, Wednesday. So we'll get a better report on that on Wednesday.
And we noticed we haven't seen Ashton Stamps or Jordan Gilbert on the field in quite a while. Is there anything going on with either of them?
Well, we're trying to protect them, both of them. They both have played in 3 games. So if we can, in fact, protect their year, we would try to. This would be a week where they could play their 4th game and still, maintain eligibility.
Brian, you've talked about the fewer plays that you have. There's obviously a thin margin for error with this team on offense. How much, I guess, then does it become important for you to really strip down what you're doing, who's calling it, the installation of those plays from the top down? Is that something that would benefit a team like this?
Yeah, we started doing that about 3 weeks ago. I think right after the Ole Miss game, I talked to Coach Sloan and said, and Coach Hankton, look, we need to shorten this inventory and be better at the things that have been highly efficient for us. So I think we went into that process about 3 weeks ago through the bye week, and I think it's proved to be effective for us. So, yeah, I would agree with you, and I think we've shown that, offensively, that's where we're heading.
All right. Of course, BK did the teleconference this morning with the SEC media, and as we said, latest update we have is that Bernard Gooden trending possibly to play. Whit Weeks not looking like he will play, still having trouble with the bone bruise. JP and I chop it up when we come back on a Wednesday edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Few things in life are as valuable as family and peace of mind, especially when it comes to your final arrangements, and that's where Lee Serio can help. His prepaid funeral plans make sure your life will be remembered exactly the way you want it to. With Lee Serio, no detail is too large or too small. Call Lee or his wife Gretchen at 225-315-6329. Let Lee Serio give you and your family the peace of mind you all deserve.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Emphasizing the commitment to customer and passenger safety, Mazda's proud to have received 8 coveted Top Safety Pick Plus awards from the IIHS for 2025, more than any other brand. Come experience Mazda at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
And we welcome you back Wednesday, October the 22nd. Shout out to JP. Fixed a little problem I had with my new phone. And look, folks, Halloween next week. Kind of sad that Billy Cannon, and we don't talk about that run on Halloween weekend, but LSU did lose to Ole Miss, had an open date. Tigers now a 2.5-point underdog. Could move up either way, depending on injuries. But JP, you and I were talking during the break, and I think the fans out there are smart enough to know this job is appreciably harder now than it was when Brian Kelly got here. It's just, you look at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's number 10 in the country. When is the last time even your grandfather or your great-great-grandfather ever saw LSU going on to play Vanderbilt on the road and be an underdog?
Right.
Now Vanderbilt's number 10 in the country. A&M, they have a propensity to grab the throat. I don't know if they're going to do it. They're going to have to stop Marcel Reed. Le'Veon Moss, a local kid who ended up going to Texas A&M, one of their better running backs. He's been banged up. JP, we don't know about his availability. But once again, with Weeks probably being questionable this week, it's going to be another test for the defense. What would you like to see Blake Baker do before we get into Saints talk?
Oh, hopefully Whit Weeks is available, but if not, Harold Perkins has got to stay inside the box and somehow shadow Marcel Reed. He hurt you last year. You didn't know he was coming into the game. Well, it's his show now. They're undefeated. He has lots of confidence. A very mobile quarterback. Of course, you had mobile quarterbacks the last 2 weeks. Completely failed to spy on Diego Pavia on both his touchdown runs and the run that got down to the 3-yard line. So please, learn from the mistakes, just move on. Got to have Harold Perkins affecting the quarterback's time in some capacity. There's other cornerbacks. Bring in a nickel and leave Harold Perkins in the box, bud, man.
Everybody loves Lane Kiffin. JP, I don't know if you had a chance. You were so busy with your coaching, but Ole Miss had Georgia on the ropes, and this is a bad thing about Lane Kiffin. Yeah, he's sexy. He's fun. He's great on Twitter. He's a great offensive play caller, but they just couldn't finish the game. And, of course, Georgia came back to beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss now at Oklahoma, but that's probably the last tough game of the year. How many teams you think in the SEC going to make the playoffs this year?
With all the parity, but, man, I don't see being more than 2.
Oh, come on now.
I'm serious. With all the parity, I mean, you have the teams that are coming up. I mean, Indiana's number 3, bud, man. They're giving credit to other conferences at this point. It's not just the SEC show.
Well, I got Georgia making it. I got Alabama making it. I have Texas A&M making it. And I have Ole Miss making it.
And Ole Miss. Wow.
But then again, we'll see. But BK did make a decent point. Look, it's not like the old days, folks. Indiana has been a basketball school all of my life. And lo and behold, Kirk Sidney has done a fantastic job and, of course, has them right there at number 3. Look, I remember when Clark Lee was at SEC Media Days 3 or 4 years ago, and he said, one of these days we're going to be talking about Vandy winning an SEC championship. And I went, wow, this guy's got an incredible belief. But Vanderbilt, I don't know. They're 6-1, JP. I can't tell how good they are because LSU's just been playing so lackluster all year long.
Yeah, and look, give credit to Dave Pavia. The guy is the real deal. He can hurt you with his feet. You don't see many quarterbacks running away from Harold Perkins around the corner, but that's absolutely what happened this past Saturday. Their defense is for real. Their time of possession every single game is dominant. The way they keep their offense on the field with that creative run game, and it's all led by Pavia. So, yeah, I think they're legit, but the SEC is going to keep on beating up on each other. These teams are going to lose a couple more games. We'll see how it pans out in the end. Will LSU run the table? But 10-2 would be the best they could do. But, man, it's going to be a very competitive stretch here at the end. All these SEC teams believe they deserve to be there, all very talented. And it's just about who's playing the best football towards the end of the year and who can avoid the injuries. The injury bug is going to show its ugly face later on this season. It happens in the SEC gauntlet, so who's going to be healthiest towards the end of the year is going to play a big part in who makes the playoff.
All right, they finally have realized that Tre'Davious Green is the best big receiver they've got on the team. JP, got to get Aaron Anderson involved, folks. He's not scored yet. He's had a variety of injuries. They feel like he's healthy again. Got to get Chris Hilton involved. Chris Hilton right now is blocking on plays and a gunner on punts, but you still have to try to get him in. Disappointed. They tried to give more balls and targets to Barian Brown, but they have not gotten him unleashed with his great talent.
Yep.
And look, Bauer Sharp and those guys are going to have to chip. You're going to have protection. You talked about Nuss and you talked about injuries. Nuss has been getting beat up every game, taking a lot of punishment. So, hey, we'd love to tell you that things look good and LSU's headed to a good season, but right now the glass is half empty with about 70% of the fans. The only thing that you can do, JP, to get that negativity out of the air is to win the football game Saturday night. Then you actually still have a fighting chance because you've got 2 weeks to get ready. You pull the upset at Alabama, now all of a sudden you're in a situation where, let's see, that would be 7-2, and you expect to beat Western Kentucky. Arkansas is not going to be a layup, and then at Oklahoma. I don't think this LSU team, though, could ever get into the playoffs this year at 9-3. They just don't have enough impressive wins, JP.
Yeah, I agree, Bud, man. And truly, we'll see how the next few weeks play out. You mentioned the bye before Alabama. Hopefully you get some guys back healthy and you go into Alabama game with a full squad, 100% healthy, or as close to 100% as you could possibly be. But you mentioned it. Garrett Nussmeier been banged up. How many times during the game do you see them pan back to Garrett Nussmeier, and he's dragging himself off the ground, limping to the sideline? He's taken a beating. He started off injured. I believe this beating he's taken each week has slowed that recovery from that oblique injury. But uber talented. The guy wants to win, loves LSU. He's going to give everything he has and leave it on the field. So I wouldn't pick another quarterback besides Garrett Nussmeier. I try to dig this team out of the hole. Man of faith. He knows he goes through everything for a reason. It's in God's plan, so hopefully he can turn it around.
All right, let's spend a couple minutes on the Saints. Then we're going to wrap up with a little special treatment for you with JP's son, Jackson. But Saints, I was happy. Olave finally caught a few balls. What's your assessment of Olave and the past game with Spencer Rattler at this point?
I think Spencer Rattler is progressing as an NFL passer. I love that Chris Olave caught 2 touchdowns. Also had that big 58-yarder. You see it right now in replay. And I'll tell you why I love it right now, Bud, man. Trade bait. As soon as that game took off on a Sunday, he should have been traded the next Monday. Look at how good Chris Olave is. Give us something for him. So I like to see Olave have some success right before the trade deadline just so we can get something better in return for number 12.
And listen, folks, if you watch the Saints, they've had their moments, but they've had some slow starts, as you said in this game, JP. Another slow start. Bottom line is that you're probably looking at a 3 or 4 win team. They haven't given up. Kellen Moore, first-year grades for him right now.
Right now, I give him a solid C, which isn't. It sounds worse than it is. I mean, that's not even a C minus. I give him a solid C. This team's been competitive in half of their games. Had a shot to win at the end. That's all you can ask for in the NFL. It's tough to win. Even the good teams get beat any given Sunday. Is the phrase it is because it's so true. You can lose on any given Sunday. So I'm giving him a solid C with room to improve moving forward. Spencer Rattler, I was completely off the ship at 0-8. Then they let him go to 0-10. He finally gets his first win. Give him a little bit of momentum, but I think he is calming down into his own, starting to understand the windows for an NFL defense.
What do you feel like will be the must-have with players for the draft this next year?
Yeah, got to get a tight end in my opinion, Bud, man. Got to bolster that secondary. Lose Marshawn Lattimore. Don't replace him with anything. Of course, that bumps up Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's not a cornerback number 1. So, in my opinion, it's defensive secondary, and that tight end spot will be paramount for the Saints.
All right, folks, look, we all spend a lot of time working over here, and JP does a lot. He wears about 17 different hats, and let's get into it real quick. I'm going to give you son, Jackson. Of course, Drew, his oldest son, was an excellent football player, and I did not know Jackson was going to follow in the footsteps and get these pick sixes, but let's roll that tape and see Jackson with a little pick six here.
That's right, 9-10 East Bank All-Star Tournament. Here the score is 6-0. Jackson Poche with a great pick six. Does get flagged for the excessive celebration right there, Bud, man, with the spike, but very proud of him. Here we go in the start of the second half. It's a 3-score game right now, and there he is again. That man, number 8, Jackson Poche, steps in front, takes it back to the house for the mercy rule, Bud, man. 33-0 was the final. Let me go back to that picture just for a second. There's the squad. Jackson, Gavin, Jacob, Dominic, Mason, Carson, Harry, Sutton, Blaze, Luke, and Sebastian. Congratulations to those young men. A great group, Bud, man. One of the most pleasurable coaching experiences I've had in a very long time.
Kudos to you. Don't forget to patronize all of our great sponsors, including Greystone Golf and Country Club, Treads and Care, Team Honda, Team Toyota, Team Mazda. And as always, I hate to do it, but I'm picking Texas A&M by 10, 27-17. Hope we're wrong. We'll be back here in a couple of weeks after the open date for another edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV.